this a 粉彩 vase?
You have a good sight. This 粉彩 vase is unusual. It was made in Jingdezhen. There are few others like it.
Jingdezhen? Oh, I know it. It is called the capital of porcelain.
Yes, Jingdezhen is one of the 4 famous towns in ancient China, and it is also one of the birthplaces of Chinese ceramics.
What is 粉彩 porcelain?
粉彩 porcelain originated in Kangxi period and flourished in Yongzheng period. It was built upon the foundation of Wucai porcelain and derived from enamel coloring. The body of 粉彩 was pure white without any impurity, and the painting images appeared realistic and compared.
How to paint those images on the ceramic body?
The painting method of 粉彩 porcelain is generally as follows. First, the outline of the pattern is drawn on the white porcelain, fired at high temperature. Then, the arsenic containing white glass is used as the base. And then, the pigment is applied on the glass white. And the color is gently washed according to the different needs of depth and shade with a clean pen, so that the petals and the people's clothes have a sense of light and shade.
No wonder the vase is so beautiful and delicate.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about the advent of 粉彩.
Professor Chu, when did 粉彩 porcelain reach its highest level in history?
Succeeding the 粉彩 porcelain of the Kangxi period. The 粉彩 porcelain, which emerged at the end of the Kangxi period, reached full maturity during the Yongzheng period, just as the Wucai, which was also referred to as Kangxi cai. The 粉彩 can also be Yongzheng cai, being just the opposite of Wucai's strong and bright tones. 粉彩 was relatively soft and soothing. Therefore, Wucai was also known as hard pigment, while 粉彩 was soft pigment.
What is the connection between 粉彩 and Wucai porcelain?
粉彩 porcelain was built upon the foundation of Wucai porcelain and derived from enamel coloring, in which case lead powder was first mixed into Wucai pigments and then added with a compound of aluminum oxide, silicon and arsenic. The purpose of this was international down the hills through the translucency of the white. The ink and the wash and the Chinese bond strong techniques, usually applied to painting on rice paper, were used to render the designs and the motifs on 粉彩 porcelain to produce a sense of depth and mass. The hue levels were numerous and the colors were smooth and soft. Since the colors show areas of strong and light, the sense of depth was quite apparent. The body of 粉彩 was pure white without any impurity. Some have iron contests of only 0.7 to 0.8%. The images of flowers, birds, insects, and fish appeared realistic and compelling. The true masters can produce quality images of flowers that collected dew drops and butterflies with visible fine hairs. This fully demonstrated the meticulous detail and beauty of porcelain from the Yongzheng period.
Why does 粉彩 porcelain occupy a place in the long history of Chinese ceramics?
The advent of 粉彩, where images were painted directly on the porcelain body, was very much associated with enamel coloring on porcelain, or cloisonné enamel. 粉彩, since its creation, has been considered an important category in Chinese porcelain. The reason was not only for its high crafts and exquisite beauty, but more importantly, it was the historical setting. At the beginning of the Qing dynasty, the Manchu emperor gathered in his courts a number of erudite men from Europe. These accomplished Europeans worked the halls of the Qing courts and introduced Western science, technology, and culture to members of the upper social class and intellectuals of Chinese society. These men included the French missionary Feng Bingzhen, who was versed in the Chinese language, poetry, and history, the Portuguese with proficiency in music, Xu Risheng, the Italian Ma Guoxian, hired as the imperial painter, Italian interpreter De Liege, who worked in the office of translation, the French president Zhang Chen, who worked as a translator, and visited the imperial palace daily to teach Emperor Kangxi the subject of geometry, the French scholar Bai Jing, who was versed in the Manchu language and deeply trusted by Kangxi. He worked together with Zhang Chen to build a chemistry lab. The Frenchman Graverin, who worked in the Qing courts as an enamel artisan, Lang Shining, who earned the crowns as imperial painter in the first year of Yongzhen's rule. The Chinese and Western laws expert, Italian Ming Mingwo, French Ba Duoming, who accompanied Kangxi to the city of Rehe to conduct classes for the imperial family use. They were all prominent figures in the history of Sine Western exchange, worthy of commemoration. Each and every one of them made their own share of contribution to the spreading of Chinese cultures westwards.
What about the communication between Chinese and Western cultures during this time?
At this time, all kinds of handicrafts and artworks from European were being brought to China by ambassadors and missionaries in the imperial size. The beauty of cloisonné enamel seemed to outshine the popular Wucai and Dousai porcelains and was better suited for the lavish decorations of the imperial family. French scholar Hong Ruosui, special envoy of King Louis XIV to China, worked in the inner chamber of Qing Imperial Palace. He wrote a letter back to his country, and what followed was an entire shipment of magnificent cloisonné enamel wares at the doorsteps of Qing courts. Since the 5th year of Kangxi period, 1711 AD, the Qing courts began using imported rough red and opaline white as coloring to test-make enameled porcelain wares. Enamelware artisan Graverin was officially appointed as a member of the Imperial Production House, directing the research on the technique to replace enamel on copper cast with enameled porcelain. By the 59th year of the Kangxi period, 1721 AD, application of enamel on porcelain was in essence a success. Works included mostly vessels for daily use, such as dishes, bowls, vases, pots, and so on. However, the illustrations on the porcelain were not yet refined. Most of the images was a conventional ground color with floral motifs and calligraphy inscriptions. The motifs were rather simple with heavy colors that appeared a bit too solid. The enamel used were all imported from foreign countries, including colors of red, yellow, white, pink, blue, purple, green, black, and so on. Kangxi's enameled porcelains were usually executed in floral decorations, with the Western painters joining the making the finished product was more or less influenced by batik-style motifs and designs which were popular in Europe at the time. Such a sumptuous and lavish decor was exactly what the king court and palaces needed.
Thank you, Professor Chu, for introducing to us this knowledge.
That's all for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.